Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's wellness webinar. My name is Jeff Crabb. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Zyto, and we are excited to have another wellness webinar. Today has actually been incredibly kind of crazy. This morning here in Utah, in the Salt Lake area, we have just been hounded with snow. I opened up my garage door this morning, had like a 2-foot snowbank. And so it's kind of been a little chaotic to get here, but we knew that today was going to be worth it. We have a great presentation with Ronica Perez that we're excited to share with you today. And as you know, if you've been with us here before, these wellness webinars are awesome, and there's so much amazing content and experiences that really pour out of these. And so if this is your first time, we wanted to say welcome, and we hope that you can join us again for the future wellness webinars as well. Here at Zyto, we always talk about the triad of health. And what we mean by that is different areas and elements and ways that we look at results that are derived from a Zyto wellness scan. And these 3 different areas are emotional, energetic, and functional. It's important to keep those in mind, and as we're going through these wellness webinar series, we're highlighting different areas of the triad and trying to bring to light different ways that practitioners use Zyto technology to really benefit all areas of wellness. Today we're learning about, obviously with Ronica, about the impact of fertility in our society today, and really some of the amazing ways that she uses Zyto technology to improve fertility, and she has an amazing approach to that. It's just awesome. I'm really excited to share that with you today. If you have not heard, in 2019, or excuse me, last year in 2018, Zyto had what we called our Zyto Wellness Challenge. This was a challenge that was strictly extended to employees. We wanted to encourage healthy lifestyle behaviors, encourage employees to get outside and experience things that they otherwise may not have done. And we had a lot of fun doing that as employees. Last wellness webinar in January, we made an announcement that we were extending that to customers around the world. And so we're launching this campaign. We just got a huge order of Zyto custom bandanas. I actually have right here an example of. And so this is what it is, right? We're extending the opportunity for everyone to participate with us here at Zyto in what we're calling the Zyto Wellness Challenge. And it's super easy to participate. Go out and do fun things. Go biking, go hiking, go fishing, go roller skating. Go do whatever it is that you want to do out in the world and experience things that you may not otherwise have done. And while you're doing that, we would encourage you to take a picture with the Zyto bandana and post it to Facebook or Instagram with the hashtag Zyto Wellness Challenge. And what that will do is it will enter you in for monthly drawings. We have a lot of really cool prizes that are going to be awarded all throughout the year. We hope that this kind of turns into not just this year, but an ongoing, really kind of a fun activity that we can all participate in. We have a lot of ideas of ways that we can maybe do challenges from employees here to customers and different things like that. So it's a fun thing. These will be for sale on Zyto.com for a nominal fee. And I wanted to introduce Ronica. Ronica's awesome. I came across Ronica at one of our Zyto regional events, and as we were sitting in this room in Chicago, I just kept on hearing things that she would say and insights that she would have. And so I stepped aside and went and chatted with her to learn more about how she uses Zyto technology. And I don't know that I've ever met someone that has used our technology in this fashion, and it just fascinated me. And we've always been, since that time, it's been about 1.5 years, we've been trying to find ways that we could bring her in and have her share this. And this platform's allowed us to do this wellness webinar series. And so today we're grateful to have Dr. Ronica Perez with us. She has a diploma in National Certification Commission for Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine. She has a master's degree in acupuncture. She is a licensed acupuncturist in Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And she offers several different services that include acupuncture, cupping, nutritional support, Reiki, and Zyto scanning and reframing. We're just super appreciative of Ronica being here today. Ronica, how are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you for joining us today. I'm super grateful that you're here with us. Tell us a little bit about how you came into this wellness industry. What fascinates you about it? What drives you to be as amazing as you are? And share that perspective a little bit, and then also how you came into contact with Zyto. I'd love to hear that.
So it started with my daughter's journey. She was about 5 years old, and she was having some hormonal issues. And when I approached her pediatrician, he told me he wanted to set her up with an endocrinologist. And I got a little scared, and I got like a red flag, like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do right now. She's only 5 years old. And somewhere along the way, someone said, did you ever check with a Chinese doctor? And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. And so I was looking into information, and I saw there was a school, National University of Health Sciences. They were doing a presentation about what is Chinese medicine. I had no intention of really doing anything with it. I just wanted to learn what it was and if it could help my daughter. And when I went to the presentation, I just fell in love with the doctors, and I called my husband right away, and I said, I'm going to be an acupuncturist. And he's like, okay. I ended up finding out that it was soy that actually caused all of these issues with my daughter. She had a surgery when she was 21 days old, pyloric stenosis. And it seemed the only formula that she could tolerate was soy. And so up until 5 years old, I had her on soy formula, then soy milk. And the soy actually acted like an estrogen in the body and was causing all of these symptoms for her. So I learned throughout this. I took away the soy and everything improved. But along the way, I just found out how much Chinese medicine really helps to regulate the endocrine system. And then that brought me to Standard Process. I went to a lot of their seminars and educational venues, and through them, I was introduced to Zyto. And so I got the cradle, and every time something new came up, I loved everything that Zyto had to offer. And I really felt that including that into my practice really helped me to stand apart from other people who were doing what I was doing in my field, and really to help get to help people in a deeper way as well. So
now remind me, you own Evox. What other systems of Zyto do you own?
I have everything, and I have everything that they've taken away.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So you have the Elite system, the Evox system, and you obviously highlight some of the features of those today during your presentation. We're super glad that you're here today. I realize I probably shouldn't have complained about the temperature and the weather, because Chicago has just been hounded with freezing cold temperatures. So a foot of snow probably I shouldn't be complaining about with you, huh?
Yeah, but we're graced with a nice heat wave of like 30 degrees right now. So
I know. Isn't that crazy? Oh, well, we're glad that you're here. I would encourage everyone. Ronica is awesome. This presentation's amazing. Throughout the presentation, we always encourage questions to come in. And so on your webinar presentation panel, you will actually see a box for question submission. That will be sent to our moderators, who will feed those out over to me, and we'll try to get in as many of those questions as we can throughout the presentation to Ronica, and then we'll throw those throughout towards the end, and anything that we don't get to, we'll try to pass over to Ronica as well. So without further ado, Ronica, we'd love to hear more about what you have to share with us today.
So I do acupuncture, and that's the main part of my practice, but I also do just nutritional support along with Zyto scanning as well. So with the acupuncture, basically what we're trying to do is to increase circulation, remove stagnation in the body. So I do use needles. I also have a laser acupuncture device, which my fertility girls really like, because they have a lot of procedures already with needles. So they love the laser acupuncture. But with these acupuncture points, and I'm going to show you as we go through the presentation, you can use pressure, you can use essential oils, you can use tuning forks to help activate what's going through here. So in Chinese medicine, the main goal is to get energy moving in the body. We want to remove wherever the energy gets stuck. That's what we call stagnation. And so if I were to hit my arm, obviously it's going to start swelling in that area. That causes the blood flow to get stuck. But really in Chinese medicine, most stagnation is caused by emotions. So excess emotions, suppressed emotions, or unacknowledged emotions. And that's where I really love to use the EVOX. About half of my practice is fertility support, and I'm usually working with the fertility clinics in the area. So they send me a lot of my clients. And so I do all the traditional Chinese medicine symptom analysis, tongue. Tongue is probably one of the things that I look at the most in the body. And then there's just other ways that the way that even when people lay on the bed, I can tell which meridian systems need to be used. But again, other things that I use that I really feel help me kind of stand out and be different from other people just doing acupuncture is the Zyto technology, the EVOX, and just simple muscle testing. So what I really love about the EVOX with fertility is that whenever someone comes to me, I do an EVOX session and I have them talk about their journey from beginning to end. And everyone's journey is different. And that's like the difference too with Chinese medicine is there's not just one way that you help everybody. You have to listen to everything that's going on to come up with a unique plan that will work for that unique individual. And so with EVOX, I really get to hear everyone's story, and they're all completely different and they're all amazing. But it's like a time for them to share with me and a time for me to really listen with them about what's going on and where they need to be helped differently than other people going through the same situation. So with the EVOX, it does help me to make a more focused area in their treatment plan. And I'm going to show you how I use the 12 zones to help with the HPA access in the body. So looking at what part of the endocrine system I should pay more attention to. And then I make a plan and I'll share with them too. I'll explain to them what comes up emotionally, but also physically in the body, dietary recommendations or other therapies that we might want to consider in the treatment. Okay, so again, when I'm doing these 12 zones, I'm really trying to find out in the endocrine system, this HPA axis, this is really connected to how your body handles stress. And so a lot of times we're in fight and flight. And this is your nervous system has two parts. And one is the sympathetic nervous system known as fight or flight. The other part is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as rest and digest. But really this parasympathetic nervous system, we're never really in it. We're always kind of in fight or flight. What's going to happen next? And this just doesn't hold well for any type of healing. So the body, if it feels like there's an emergency, it's always going to go, oh, there's a fire here, let's put out the fire here, put out the fire here. And so it doesn't go take care of anything. Oh, we got some time, let's go heal this, let's go take care of that knee pain. And that also includes this whole system that says it's okay to have a baby. So when the body is like in emergency mode, it's really hard to get the body to say it's okay to have a baby. So a lot of my treatment is to try to calm the stress level down to get the body to switch in to this parasympathetic nervous system. It's called HPA, which stands for hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, but it really includes hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, thymus, sex hormones, pancreas, adrenals. So again, with the 12 zones, when I have someone do the EVOX, I can kind of see where we need to look at a little bit more in that nerve, in the endocrine system. Okay, so here's my first poll question. Okay, and what do you think is the major cause of infertility?
All right, let's see here. So this is kind of interesting. 59% say adrenals as the number one cause of infertility. Number two was thyroid, followed by ovarian issues, and then lastly, blood sugar.
Okay, so This was kind of a trick question. Sorry. This is my only trick question. The other one's not a trick question. But really, this is again where I'm trying to say that we have to look at each individual. And so when you come and you do this, this is what we're going to find out in your body. It's like, okay, so a lot of people look up like what's the major cause of infertility, and then they work so much on that. And what I'm trying to do with the EVOX and just with Chinese medicine in general is saying like your body has its own specific needs. And what we're trying to do is figure out what those are. Okay, so I've connected the 12 zones with the 12 acupuncture meridians. And so if you were to look like at this chart, you would see that this person, the red coming up is the small intestine, zone 1. This is the one that I would pay the most attention to in this person's treatment. And I'm going to go through all the zones. I'm going to try to go through them really quick. Some of them I'm going to spend a little bit more time on. But this is what I look at to start making my diagnosis and treatment plan for each patient. And so I asked Jeff, what zones do you, because when you do these EVOX treatments, even if you pick different things like issues with sleep or issues with a coworker or whatever it is, whatever we decide to talk about, typically you'll find that you're falling into the same zone most of the time. And so, Jeff, what would you say, what zone do you typically fall into?
So when I do this, oftentimes I find myself in either zone 11 or zone 2. And I don't want you to read too much into that, everyone.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Right. And so, and I'll be vulnerable later. We'll see this too. But
yeah.
So there's just a couple of things. In zone 2, usually I find people respond really well to essential oils. And I'll go a little bit more into that, of why that happens. And then if anyone comes into zone 10 or 11, and I'm not going to ask you to do this, but I have people show me their tongue. And usually what I'll see is like a crack in the center of the tongue. And usually there's some digestive things going on where the body's not absorbing as well as it should. So I might recommend some digestive enzymes. And I'm going to get more specific into here. But whenever anyone comes into here, like my mind automatically goes like, how can I help this person with really anything that's going on in the body? And so you can use this chart not just for fertility, although this is one of my favorites for fertility, but you can use this for any ways to really help balance the physical body.
And Ronica, can you go back to that last slide here really quick? I just want to make mention, if you're not familiar with our EVOX system, this chart is actually brought out of EVOX. And so EVOX is a recording process that you would go through. And the colors and all the different areas of this chart are reflections of where there's excess energy patterns. And so that's what's charted here. So when you come in and have your first EVOX session, for example, you'd go through a recording process and it would graph and chart out all the different areas where there's excess energy in the tones of the voice, which are charted here. So as Ronica mentioned, zone 1 in this example had the most excess out of range energy pattern. And now, the process of EVOX is to bring those and balance those out. And it's obviously very dynamic for a user, an individual. And it's awesome. And that's the component of EVOX. She'll explain a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to be clear that about not feeling like this chart has to, like this is all part of EVOX, it's built into it. It's super easy to use as far as understanding elements like this. So wanted to clarify that. Sorry for hopping in there.
No, thank you, because I forgot about that. So yeah, so when I'm doing the session, I have people go through and talk about their experience, and this is what I'm looking for are those red zones for sure. And then I'll talk a little bit about the yellows are also significant to me as well, and those might also be like a part of the treatment plan as well. I'll explain that at the end.
And on this chart that you have, Ronica, what are those letters representing exactly?
So those are all
charted out
of the acupuncture meridians. So
Okay,
there's 12
perfect.
main acupuncture meridians, and this chart is following the Chinese clock as well. So every single meridian system has a time. So like heart is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then small intestines 1 to 3. So this is following the Chinese clock as well.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. And this is awesome. What you've done of associating with the meridians, I think is just awesome. So.
And so if you're an acupuncturist, then I'm great if you can use this to help you in your practice, but anyone who's doing whatever's your specialty, if you do essential oils, crystals, nutrition, you can use this chart and have this just kind of like available, like in this zone, I would recommend these types of remedies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first zone, zone 1, I'm connecting to small intestine meridian. And in this one, I call this one, this little light of mine. Okay, so what I feel like emotionally what goes on here is for whatever reason, people feel that they have to hide who they truly are. Maybe they show up and ready to give and they're not getting acknowledged for what they do. And what I see in this meridian system is that this system gets heat. So if you block this light on the inside, then the heat kind of builds up inside. So a lot of times I'll see, like a lot of people are always really hot. And so one of my main jobs to do here is to clear heat. And I'll see, so the endocrine system, I'm paying attention to hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. A lot of things that I'll see is scapular pain. So pain like right between the shoulder blades. A lot of people be complaining of pain in there or just feeling hot all the time. Even after when people have a baby, there'll be some lactation issues. So I use this channel a lot to help with that. Other symptoms might be heartburn or acid reflux. Before I get into this, I'm not a doctor of Western medicine. So I'm not a doctor at all. And so when I'm treating things, I'm treating symptoms of what's going on. So I don't, anything with a Western name on it, I don't treat. But the symptoms, I definitely treat. And that's what we're trying to get to correct as we're doing the treatments. And so some of the things that I will do here is making sure mineral intake is balanced, pH balancing in the system, really just kind of trying to reset the whole endocrine system here with different things, paying attention to diet, and always circulation. So a lot of times when we're blocking this energy, then we'll notice circulatory issues. And a lot of times too, and I think this is one of the descriptions that's in this zone that comes printed out, is eye issues, sensitivity to light, and again, this is like a circulatory thing, like in Chinese medicine. So I'm really trying to work on unblocking the stuck energy that's in here, creating some of this heat and get things flowing. So one of the points on this small intestine channel is if you look at your hand, okay, and you see this line that comes here towards the end of the pinky finger, okay, this is one of the tapping points that if you go through the EFT tapping sequence, this is one of the main points that you use. This is a small intestine point. And one of the affirmations you would say here is, I completely love and accept myself. You can either karate chop that point with that affirmation, or you can just tap in that point. And that will also help to balance this small intestine meridian. And so just tapping on that, I completely love and accept myself. I would make sure whoever does this, maybe does this like once a day, beginning of the day or at night, whatever feels better. Okay, so zone 2 is connected to the urinary bladder meridian. And so this one, I connect mostly to hypothalamus. And in this one I use for both men and women with fertility issues. So this is the one I use. There's 8 points in the sacrum of the body. So I'll do a back treatment, and you just put them right in the foramen of the sacrum. And it's really good to help remove blockage from anything in that area. So this is actually one of the channels that I do use a lot for both men and women. Most of the presentation I'm be talking about women, but this one I obviously use for men too. And the whole back treatment, when I stimulate anything on the back, when I have people just laying down and doing a back treatment, everyone will kind of come out like, whoa, and we call that like acu-stoned. Very, very relaxed. And so one of the things that this back treatment does, or any points using this bladder system, is really helps to calm the body. So the hypothalamus is in your brain, and this is detecting all the stress that's going on inside your body through your hormones, neurotransmitters, chemical signals, and outside your body through your senses. So when your body's like, we got this, we got this, we got this going on, it's all sending a signal to your hypothalamus. And then if you hear anything, smell anything, see anything, all of those are going to your hypothalamus as well. So in this zone, there's like so many things coming into the body. And so we want to like really calm down that system. In zone 2, I see that essential oils works wonderfully. It helps to kind of like stop that loop of, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming, this is happening, and that smell just kind of stops you for a minute. And what happens is right through your nose, olfactory system, it goes right to your limbic brain, and it reminds you of something. So it like kind of like bypasses this whole too many signals going in, and really helps to clear the system there. Another thing that I always recommend for this is like a service is finding a hobby, doing something creative, because this is going to stimulate your creative organ system. And so when you make something and you say, look, I made this, you stimulate the organs in your system that say, look, I made this. So it has to be something. Sometimes I ask people for a hobby and they tell me like watching documentaries or something. I'm like, no, it's not a hobby. Like, I need you to like make something. Like at the end, there's something that you completed. And it's also very calming for the brain too. And when you start doing that, you start opening up parts of your brain where it's like you're painting a picture, and all of a sudden you get an idea like, oh, I think that would be a good idea to do that. And that's what we're trying to get in this zone, is to allow new ideas to come in and the old patterns of repetition to stop.
I love that. Really, really fast on that urinary meridian. Is that mostly attributed to the back, or are there, or a section of the back? Like, what's the correlation? It's
all up and down the back from head to toe.
Okay.
So that bladder meridian goes through the brain and all the way down the back, and so and the feet too. So in Chinese medicine, you have a main organ system and a secondary organ system. So kidney is the main organ system, and then bladder is connected with it. And so they're one system. But that bladder system is really stimulated by, so even like back rubs, like to calm, like if you want to calm a child down, you go along that system, like you just from their neck to their back, just rub down, rub down, rub down. And it's very, very calming for everybody.
Okay, cool. I love that idea.
Okay, so then zone 3, sadness versus inner peace, I've connected to the kidney meridian. And so kidney meridian is really specific to fertility in general, because there's this thing in Chinese medicine, your Jing energy, which is really connected to fertility energy, which is connected to this kidney meridian. So the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. In Western medicine, there's no real connection to kidneys and adrenals. But in Chinese medicine, it is, just because of the location. And so both kidneys and adrenals are stimulated in response to fear. And so whenever we're feeling alone or afraid, we're going to start producing way too much cortisol from the adrenals being activated in the body. So from the picture, you can see that the bottom of the foot, that's the kidney point, kidney 1. And this one really is blocked when people are feeling alone. And this is a huge thing in fertility, because a lot of the girls go through this journey alone because it is hard, and you're going for these treatments, you don't know if it's going to take, so here hoping to get pregnant doesn't work, and you don't want to have to keep going through that, yeah, it didn't work, that whole thing over and over again. So a lot of times my girls aren't telling anybody about any of this. And so it becomes a very lonely place, and this is not good for strong kidney energy. So I really do encourage people to tell somebody, to have like a good friend or someone that you can tell about everything that's going on. And I also think someone who's not also going through fertility, because when you're both going through it and one gets pregnant, of course you want to be happy for them, but a part of you is crying inside, like, why not me? So to find someone that you can just like tell about everything you're going through, and then also to listen to their kind of stuff too, because it becomes very consuming. And so it's good to hear other people's stuff too as you're going through this journey on what feels like your own. But because this is about half my practice, I'm really out there to say too, there's so many people who are struggling with this, and you're not alone. And I really think it's just because we're so stressed in society. You know, both the man and the woman have to work in order to pay for everything that has to be done. So it's not like just mom's at home and has no other stressors. Mom and dad both have stressors, and it's just harder to get into that parasympathetic part of the brain that says it's okay to have a baby right now.
Yep.
Reflexology is great for this. I have so many different practitioners that work here that help me with the fertility as well. Between my reflexologist, who's also an aromatherapist, massage therapist that does specific massages for the stomach and uterus area, Reiki masters. I just have so many other people who are here to help too. But the things in this zone that I find to be really well, reflexology, qigong, and being well hydrated, which doesn't just mean drinking a lot of water. Sometimes we have to check the mineral content and also the pH balance in the body to make sure that you're absorbing the water that you're drinking. Okay. Zone 4, pericardium meridian. So pericardium in Chinese medicine is there to protect the heart. So whenever we feel that we're in danger, pericardium comes in and protects the heart. The heart is the king of the castle, and so everyone tries to protect the heart. And so when I see this pericardium meridian come in, I know that people are feeling the need for protection too much. Okay, I have to watch my back. I have to do all this myself. I'm never going to let that happen again. And so they stay kind of like in this blocked, waiting for something to happen kind of a mode. And this, again, is going to trigger those adrenals. And so in this zone, I'm really looking at blood sugar regulation, because the adrenals, if they're triggered so much, you have excess cortisol in the body, and that can really cause a problem with fertility. So what I'm looking here, what I recommend is 5 small meals a day. Just keep the body filled with energy so it doesn't feel like it doesn't know where am I going to get that energy from. I do a lot of tongue diagnosis, so when I see people in this zone, usually on the tongue, the very tip of it, there'll be like a little indent, almost looks like a heart, like it just indents a little bit at the end there. And that lets me know that people feel the need to protect the heart. So another thing that I say in this zone is to play a game with the universe. And here I'll say, just start with, okay, universe, or God, or whatever you want to say, angels, if you're really out there, if you really have my back, prove it. And within 3 days, you should have enough confirmation that says, hello, right here. Okay, songs you hear on the radio, overhearing people's conversations, things that pop up on social media. But what happens is the only way to get this block to come down is to be open for it. So once you ask the question, you open, because now you're waiting for your answer. And so once you get that, then you can start asking so many other questions for guidance, for answers. Should I do this treatment or that treatment? But it's a really good way to open that up and start getting better circulation and to calm down that excess cortisol in the body. Okay, zone 5, I connect to the triple warmer meridian. And this is the one that's most connected in Chinese medicine to the thyroid. And so I will check thyroid concerns, whether it be iodine, magnesium, different ways to support the thyroid. If you look at this meridian, it begins at the finger and it ends at the edge of the eyebrow here. When I'm looking at people and they have thyroid issues, I'll see that the lateral thirds of the eyebrow are sparse or missing. And so that's a major indication to me that we've got to work on thyroid energy. And so another thing that I'm going to look at here too, I'll ask people too if they're sweating at night. So if people are sweating at night, then I know that the endocrine system has to be regulated here. I want the sweating to stop, and usually magnesium is the trick for that. So adding magnesium, but a lot of times too, people are not absorbing magnesium properly. So I'll have to do different liposomals with magnesium, or maybe just soaking in the bathtub with magnesium flakes or Epsom salts is another thing to help the body to absorb magnesium better. In this zone 2, here's where thyroid's at. And so a lot of times people don't realize that they'll always have pain in this area, neck and shoulders, but they don't realize that they're too tense and tight in that neck and shoulder area. So I'll tell them to make sure at stoplights while you're driving or while you're at work, check your shoulders, make sure they're down so that we get proper circulation, and that's going to help improve thyroid function as well. Okay, so here's the next poll question. This is not a trick. So,
hey, trick questions are always good. That's all.
Okay, so what's the quickest way to shift the body from sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic nervous system? Minerals, breath work, exercise, or EVOX?
Results are in. We have a 62% saying breath work, 17% say EVOX, 10% minerals, and 10% exercise.
Okay, so I must have some yogis out there. Breath work is the answer. Okay, and if you watch babies when they breathe, when they inhale, their bellies fill up with air, and when they exhale, it goes down. That's how we're supposed to be breathing. That's the quickest way to shift your system, because in sympathetic nervous system, your breathing shuts down to shallow breaths so that you can respond to all of these other emergencies more quickly. And so when you just stop and shift your breath, and when you inhale, your belly expands, and when you exhale, it goes to the back of your spine. When you do that, you're telling your body everything's okay. And so you will shift it to that parasympathetic nervous system. So breath work is the most important thing. So I would do yoga, do meditation, do some kind of breath work to help calm your body. Okay, so I'm going to go really quickly through these guys now too, to try to get through the 12 here. So liver and gallbladder, those are the next ones that are going to come up on 6 and 7. They're most connected to stress. So when people don't have a way to deal with stress, the body gets tense and tight. And so I'll notice in these zones, when it's coming up in zone 6, I'm going to look a little bit more at some ovarian issues. So that might be some masses or cysts or things like endometriosis, painful intercourse. All of those kind of things are going to come up more in this gallbladder meridian. And when I'm looking at the body, the eyebrows here, there will be like little creases right on the medial aspects of the eyebrows when it's gallbladder, things that I should pay attention to gallbladder. When it's right in the center, aligned right in the center, that's telling me to pay more attention to liver function in the body. And so one of the really cool things about gallbladder meridian is in Chinese medicine, there's 6 extraordinary organs. It's the marrow, the brain, the bones, the uterus, the blood vessels, and the gallbladder. And it's like we can see how like all these other things are really extraordinary, but the gallbladder is things that people have removed like nothing. But in Chinese medicine, it's a real special organ. And so working on this system, so if I'm seeing all those things, first of all, the gallbladder helps to connect all of these things together. But emotionally, I'm looking at why people are not feeling extraordinary in their own lives and in their own bodies. So some therapies here, the gallbladder diet, which basically, if you look it up, it's like you can't eat anything. But a lot of the foods that really upset the gallbladder are going to be fatty foods, fried foods, alcohol, dairy, spicy foods. So if you notice a sensitivity to any of those, then you just really want to support the gallbladder too. Cruciferous vegetables is the best way to help support the gallbladder. Also, beets are great for the gallbladder. And yoga is one of my favorite things because the system gets so tight, so you want to be able to open it up with stretching. Okay, the liver meridian, when I'm looking in here, some other things that I'm going to consider here. When I look at the tongue, I'll see the tongue looks a little bit more purple, and maybe it quivers a little bit more when I have people show me it. In the endocrine system, I'm also going to be looking at viral things in the body. So Epstein-Barr, or there could really just be anything. It's just telling me that viruses are real smart in the body, so they hide in the body. And when the immune system is low or we're more stressed, the viruses kind of come out. And they might just be, you just might feel like you have a cold, achy body. And so really, I just work on boosting the immune system to let the body be able to take care of those viruses. I'm also looking at blood things when I see the purple tongue. So DHA, CoQ10 are some good things to add in that. Of course, suppressed emotions. So I do a lot more EVOX when I see that coming in. And another thing I look for are little red dots on the body. They're called cherry hemangiomas, and I'll see them on the stomach, breast, or back mostly. And it's a sign of estrogen dominance. They're just little flat red dots. And the way that I treat that is just more cruciferous vegetables, help the body detox the icky estrogens out of the body. And DHEA is another homeopathic remedy that I'll use to help with that as well.
Does on the liver meridian, does blood type affect that at all?
It's so when I'm looking for that, I'm looking more at when I see blood things come up, I'm actually looking more at emotional things. So the blood is like a sign that there's a lot of buried emotions in that system, which is going to interfere with circulation. So it becomes more of a circulatory thing, but it's because everything gets stuffed in the body. And so I look at it more as, and it's usually just you've been taught your whole life, like just stuff that, move on, don't worry about that, don't deal with that. But our bodies have a way of letting us know, like, I'm not okay with that. This is still bothering me. And so I'll see that come up through circulatory, all different clotting, bruising, anything with the blood like that.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And then zone 8, lung meridian. So when things come up in the lung, I'm actually looking a lot at pancreas and blood sugar. So in Chinese medicine, the lungs come from the stomach. So the stomach's the mother of the lungs. And so here's the connection with the blood sugar. But whenever I do someone's scan and I see this, I really work on insulin regulation. In the neck, C7 and T1, there's usually like a little bit more of like a fatty hump in that area. That always tells me that there's an issue with blood sugar in the body as well. And emotionally, faith, trust, and inspiration is really important here. And so this is where I might have, kind of like a talk too with believing in a higher power might be more important than they thought in this zone. Trusting in yourself and in your body is going to be really important as well. And I do find in this zone that crystals work really well. So crystals all have different properties. And for me, really, They're just to remind you of what is in you that maybe you forgot about. And so when you carry around a crystal, it might remind you of something, giving you strength, calming, whatever it is. And you'll carry it with you, and then all of a sudden you notice, oh, I don't have that anymore. And at that point, I feel like message received. Like you realize that you don't need that because you remembered it now within yourself. Okay, zone 9, large intestine meridian. Forgiveness and letting go are huge emotional things that I find in this zone. Again, the tension in the body is going to be here. With forgiveness, there's like millions of things you can do with this. I would just say with forgiveness and letting go, it's not we hold on to things because we're stubborn. It's because we feel that whatever has happened, there's been no justice for it. I'm still not okay with it. And so I don't say just forgive and let go. I say give it to a higher power. Let someone else deal with that and take care of you in the meantime. Physically in the body, I'll look for parasites in both lungs and large intestines. They're connected meridians. So when things come up in here, parasite cleanses is something that I might take into consideration as well as gentle detoxes. So I'm not one for huge detoxes, especially during fertility. I'm trying to be really gentle and easy on the body, but even just cruciferous vegetables, just helping to support the body, taking away foods causing inflammation, adding in foods that promote natural detoxification, and also sound therapy. So we have like gong, crystal bowls, meditations where you just sit here in this zone. That's a real nice way to just kind of like let everything be released from you with sound. Mm-hmm. Okay, zone 10, so stomach meridian. When I see stomach meridian, again, this is when I said I'm going to kind of look at the tongue, because usually I can see like a crack in the center of the tongue or some horizontal marks in the tongue. I'm looking at thyroid and thymus in this zone, which is a part of your immune system, the thymus. Looking to see if people are absorbing nutrients, but also in this one too, when people come into like this unworthy, undeserving, usually they are the ones who are the nurturers for everybody else. So they take really, really good care of others because they never want them to feel unworthy or undeserving. So they go way out and beyond to make everyone feel very deserving and very loved. And in the meantime, forget to take care of self. And so, and that goes with food and anything really about absorbing good things for self. So I'm really careful with diet things here too, because I don't want to say, well, you can't have any sugars and you can't have dairy and you can't have gluten, because then it like just reinforces this. Well, I know I can't because I'm not deserving of it. So there's a Dr. Charlie Walsh that I met through Does Bio, and she does a lot with weight management. And she said, I let everyone have 3 bites of anything with just this in mind. So know when you take one bite, taste that and see how good that is. And then pay attention to every other bite. So I'm like a sucker for Doritos. And so I never have any at the house, but if I go to like a party and they have Doritos out there, I will go and have me a Dorito. And I take a bite and that is so good. I love that. And then I go and take another one. And then I'm like, well, that one probably didn't have a lot of cheese on it or something. It was missing something. So I try to look for one that has a lot of cheese on it, and I go and grab it, and it's still not as good as the first one. And that's kind of what happens in this zone too, is it's like you'll always be trying to get that first bite sensation. So after 3 bites, you realize I'm not going to get it, and you already said you could have it, but it's just that realization that I'm looking for a little something more. And then we could do some more work in this zone. Okay, zone 11, rigid beliefs versus open to possibilities. So again, with fertility, I'll see like a lot of like left side issues, complaints on the left side of the body. I'm gonna look still more at some pancreas issues. I might even see some more autoimmune type of presentations in here. And so I'm really just trying to calm the body, so decrease anything that's causing any kind of inflammation in the body, and then help to support the body. And in here, I'll usually see some issues with digestion. Again, that's where I'm looking at the tongue, and I'll see that crack in there. Sleep. Now, a lot of your neurotransmitters are made in your gut. So when you have a poor gut, you're not getting those neurotransmitters like your serotonin and your dopamine, all those things that are trying to tell you that life is okay and we're doing okay. You're not producing them when you don't have a strong gut. And so I do like to use, and a lot of these things I'll use in homeopathic form, especially with my fertility patients. It's just gentle. They can still use it during pregnancy. And so I'm very gentle in all my treatments with fertility support. But I realize that they are going to be having more anxiety and just some not able to calm down because the gut isn't digesting and doing everything that it needs to do in this system. And so another thing that's really good to do in this zone too, because in this zone, we've really created these beliefs of, well, I already know if I was in a car accident and people tell me like driving in a car is amazing. I'm like, no, actually it's dangerous. I know because I lived through it. I had it happen. And so we get a little rigid in our belief systems. So we have to try to think well, not everyone thinks it's dangerous to drive in a car. That's just what I think because of my experience. So we're trying to open up and see that there's other possibilities in this area as well. And tapping is another therapy that I really like to incorporate to help break down some of these rigid belief systems. Okay, and then zone 12, heart meridian, and I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again though, in Chinese medicine, the heart is the king of the castle. And so we don't really shush the king. So we try to get all the other systems to help. So when I see things come into this zone, what I'm trying to do is just really backtrack and see where did a conflicting belief come from? Okay, so with fertility, it might be, I want to have a baby, but I'm too old. Or I want to have a baby, but all the women in my family have complications. Or I really want to be a good mother, but I didn't have a good mother, so how could I be a good mother? Maybe I shouldn't have a baby. So I'll usually incorporate a transgenerational treatment if things come up into the zone to kind of see where that conflicting belief may have gotten created. And offer just some other things to really help people get comfortable with who they are and why they came here and try to see where that conflict got created. Okie dokie. So those are my 12 zones. And it seems like a lot, but really I only do 30-minute appointments in my sessions, and the EVOX will take maybe 20 minutes. And so it's not much for me to incorporate that into my practice. Another thing that I love with this is when we saw in that first page where small intestines came up red and then zone 2 and zone 11 I think came up orange, is I look at all of these systems and I think, maybe that one I can't get to alone. I might have to incorporate those other zones too in my treatment just to get the energy flowing more smoothly. And what I think about that is for people who use essential oils, you'll be like, oh, I know they need lavender. And then you give them lavender and they're like, oh, I can't stand that smell. But they need it. So if you mix it with maybe some frankincense and some other oils, they'll be like, okay, that smells better. So you'll be able to get the lavender in with some other oils. And this is what I'm trying to do with the treatments too, is really help not just look at that one zone, but see how am I going to get all of this energy to flow more smoothly in the body. And I continue to use EVOX throughout the treatment, so just to help keep the bodies relaxed. It might be later on to help with nausea even in the pregnancy, but I usually just kind of see, and a lot of people really like it, so they'll kind of ask for it too. Like, I'm feeling a little stressed, can we do that EVOX treatment? I love that music that's being played and I feel so calm. So I usually continue to use that throughout my treatment as well. And there we go.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So a couple of questions for you, Ronica.
Sure.
You alluded to this earlier. I mean, it's all about customizing a treatment plan for someone of, making sure that they feel heard and understood, and then creating a plan out of that. What does that initial consultation look like for you?
So I basically really just have them, I let them know that I'm doing it with the evoc session. And so I say, I'm going to have you tell me a little bit about your journey. I'm going to interrupt you. And then you're going to hear some music. And then you're just going to continue telling me all the way into the point where we are right now, whether that's IVF, we're getting ready for a retrieval or a transfer. And so I just have them, and even if the session is done on the evocs, I wait until their story is done. So I know their journey, but I've also documented it on the evoc session, so I know where it's hitting them in the endocrine system.
Cool. And then from there, you obviously set forth your plan of treatments or therapies that you may introduce to them throughout.
Yeah, I usually always follow it with an acupuncture treatment.
Okay.
And then we keep doing the acupuncture and add in the evocs as needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very cool. We did have a question come in on one of the slides. I think it was in zone 11. You had alluded to EFT tapping. Do you mind maybe helping us understand a little bit more about that?
Okay, so I have a practitioner who does the EFT tapping. So I'm not an expert in it. I know you can even look up like on YouTube the sequence. But basically what happens with the tapping method is it's using all these acupuncture points. And what we're trying to do is, like, there's a point on here and here. I'm not sure where all the points are. I mean, I know where they are, but I don't know the specific order. And what we're trying to do is to unblock the body through these pressure tapping points to allow new thoughts to come in. And so you can have like a statement in your head, like fertility support, like I can't get pregnant, I'm too old to get pregnant. And so you can go through the whole tapping sequence, and then you kind of like say, well, no, I know people who are older than me who have gotten pregnant, and you go through the sequence as much as you need to until you feel better about it.
Okay, so that's helpful. Thank you for clarifying that. We did have, and I'll end it with this because I think this is a good way to wrap things up. But how many sessions do you usually go through with a client before you see a change in their belief patterns?
Sometimes it's immediate. And actually, usually it's immediate. I would say a lot of my clients cry throughout, and not a horrible cry. It's actually a very releasing, great cry, but it's not, I wait kind of for their statement at the end. Like they have this like, aha, wow, at the end of the session where, because I'll be writing down things that they say throughout it in my soap notes, and all of a sudden they'll say something like, I just need to calm down. I know this is going to happen. And it's really beautiful and it's really amazing. And I didn't say it, they said it, which makes it so much more powerful.
Yep, absolutely. If you're privileged enough to get into that, I mean, this is like sacred territory that you're getting into with people, right? It's very, I mean, these things are very precious to them, the feelings that they're sharing or expressing. And, you know, especially with EVOX, when you're going through and you experience, or you're in the room with someone when they experience the reframe, or that transition, like you're talking about, it's just pretty amazing. And I've had the privilege of seeing that many times, and obviously you have as well. It's a pretty special experience, I would say.
Yeah, I'm always honored to be a part
Yes.
of that. It's like I get to watch like a great movie. You know, they're usually a tearjerker, but still I get to, like, they go through everything and I'm like, wow, that's an awesome story. That's an awesome journey. Like, you're crazy amazing. And so it's really nice for them to be able to share that with me as well, and for me to be able to use that to help others with future things as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I really thank you for your time today, Ronica. I hope everyone here that is hearing this live has enjoyed it. We've had a ton of contact back with us. So we know that it was a very engaging presentation. Thank you for your time and your presentation. Here on this next slide, Ronica has been super awesome to share ways to get in contact with her. So I know that we weren't able to get through all the questions and comments during the live broadcast. We are going to share those with Ronica for follow-up commentary. And if you want to reach out to her directly, her information is here on the screen, and she's been awesome to share that. Ronica, thank you for what you do in this wellness space. I know you've helped lots of people with fertility and in other areas as well. And thank you for doing that and bringing Zyto along with you. It's
thanks
amazing.
so much for having me, and thank you for the technology. It's really
absolutely. And that brings up a great point, Ronica. I mean, we can't do it without each other. The technology is amazing, but to me, the more I interact with customers and practitioners, really it's the information and knowledge that practitioners bring to the table that enables the delivery of Zyto results. And it's just amazing to hear the different approaches that people have. As we've heard today with you, Ronica, really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today. And I just want to reemphasize today, if you joined us a little bit late, we're introducing the Zyto Wellness Challenge. You'll be able to join us in this wellness challenge of sharing pictures and of cool things that you're doing all around the world. As employees, we got to see a lot of different areas around the world and take pictures. We have employees that were taking pictures from the Alps to oceans to running marathons to doing all sorts of cool things. And so we are extending that to you. Make sure you're taking advantage of that promotion today. For the month of February, this is something we've never done at Zyto before. Evox is a powerful piece of technology. And if you haven't had the opportunity to experience that, I would encourage you to learn more about it. Go to Zyto.com. We have a ton of information about Evox online. And reach out to us. We want to share the power of this technology with everyone. And for the month of February, we're making it easier than ever before for you to get and take advantage of special promotional pricing. It's never before been at this price. So it's actually, you can get a Zyto Evox system for $0 down, $249 a month, super easy. Normally we require upfront payment on the Evox systems. And we are just trying to get as many people using Evox as possible because we have experiences like what Ronica goes through, and we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other practitioners that share these stories with us, and it's like, we have got to get this technology out, and it's going to change the world, and we truly believe that, and that's why we're wrapping some fun promotions around it. That being said, we also have, I know here in the United States we have 5 what we're calling Zyto regional events. If you want an on-hand experience, training experience with any of those, I know our first domestic event is actually on March 9th in Miami, Florida. So if you need to get away from Chicago, cold weather in Chicago, like Ronica has to deal with, join us down there. And then we'll have several others throughout the country. And that's a great opportunity to come have that hands-on experience with Evox technology, learn more that way. But we would encourage you to take advantage of this. Be sure to contact us. We're happy to walk you through and explain and give you the opportunity to experience that firsthand.
Jeff, I just want to tell you one thing with the Evox. It's so funny. I got it 5 years ago. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to go learn about this Evox thing through Zyto. And I'm going to buy it. If it's telling me it's going to help my patients, I'm going to buy it. So if you don't want me to buy it, come with me and stop me from buying it. And so he's like, oh, Miami, we can rent a motorcycle and drive through the Keys. All right, I'll go. So he comes with me and listens to the presentation, and I go, so what do you think? And he goes, I heard her voice change as she was talking through the system. I heard her voice change. He's like, did you hear her voice change? I go, no. And he goes, I heard it change. He goes, if you just get this for our family, it's worth it. I don't even care if you use it in your practice. And he's been a huge fan, and everyone in my family has too. But you have to try it. It really is amazing what Evox brings into the practice.
I could not endorse that anymore. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we often say as employees here at Zyto, I mean, we have the luxury of having direct access to this technology. If I was no longer here, exactly to your point, Ronica, if I was no longer here as an employee of Zyto, Evox is one of those systems that I would want to have in my back pocket always. It's just one of those things, whether it's, I mean, obviously we're talking about fertility today, but we hear people talk about relationships and work performance and athletic performance and, sleep issues and all these different areas that the body is trying to adapt to and figure out how to work with. And Evox is a tool that you plug that right in, and you will see amazing changes to what you're saying. So thank you for sharing that. So yeah, be sure to join us. You may need that experience. Unfortunately, sometimes us guys are a little bit stubborn. We need another reason. We need to go fishing. We need to have a reason to go to Miami, Florida to have that experience. But Miami's great. There will be other areas around the world where we'll be sure to join us there to learn more. Our next wellness webinar will be on March 6th. We are finalizing the presenter for that. We'd encourage you to register for that. It's going to be on the topic of diet and nutrition, which is something I know impacts a lot of the functionality of the body, making sure that it has the right nutrients to perform in its appropriate way. So be sure to join us. It's always at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, same as always. But we appreciate you joining us today. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We're always here. If you have feedback of how we can improve these wellness webinar series, please let us know. We're open to that feedback. But as always, we're super grateful for those that were here live with us. If you're watching this after the fact, we hope you can join us live next time. And we will see you next month. Thank you, everyone.